Airity sensitive tone. Look how sharp the image quality is with 60 frames per second. I don't know if I'll be doing, any more live unboxings, at least of high-end tackle, because the video quality of live transmission even today is very poor, and I would rather record it in 1080p 60 frames per second for you guys, just so you can really appreciate the beauty of this tackle. But this is Airity sensitive tune STLT 2000 size shallow spool. STLT. I have a treat for you guys. In my previous video, I asked if somebody can send me the STSF model of this sensitive tone, Airity, and Mr. Lee from Minnesota, a highly valued patron, emailed me right away and told me that he can send me one for a review. I remember Mr. Lee, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think he lived in Minnesota back then. I think he lived further south back then. But many years ago, when my channel was much smaller and nobody would send me high-end tackle, Mr. Lee sent me like a Stella and Exist, in the same box. And I was kind of exhilarated to have both of these reels in my hands. So Mr. Lee, very much appreciated, sir. Not just this delivery, but I do remember my patrons that helped me when my channel was very small. But he sent me the reel almost a week ago, and not a week ago, but like 5 days ago, and I've been holding off. And my voice, as you can tell, is in pretty bad shape. I'm actually in good shape myself, and I'm going fishing tomorrow, but I do have these spring allergies in Tennessee. If you have any kind of allergies already while you're living in the north, you cannot move to Tennessee. You will die. I didn't have any allergies in Illinois. I moved here, all of a sudden I have allergies to everything. Anyway, these are Victor's tangents. It's not a video if I don't do spend half of the video on tangents. But he sent me the SF version, and this is the first time I have one of DAIWA's SF reels in my hand. DAIWA also has Exist SF model, and I always wondered what that was. I thought it was a brand new platform. I even made such comments in my previous videos. Now I don't know if it should be called a brand new platform. It is a completely different reel, but I don't know if it's a platform. I think the technology of the two reels is exactly the same. Even the geometry is similar, but the dimensions are different. If I put the two reels side by side, they look absolutely the same geometrically, but this one is just a smaller version. They look exactly the same, the colors and everything is exactly the same, but this one is just smaller. Now, as far as I know, DAIWA and Shimano have always have the 1000 and 2000 size reels in the same body. They have always shared a 1000 size body. The difference is usually only the diameter of the spool, and sometimes in rare occasions the diameter of the rotor, like with the brand new Vanquish. Well, this is a departure, give it to DAIWA to departure from something into something else. The moment you think you've got DAIWA figured out and how the letters and the models work, they're gonna come out of left field and hit you with something new. What I wanted to say with much fewer words, but I failed, is I don't think this is a 1000 size model. What DAIWA calls SF, it is a completely different reel, but now I think the right name for the SF models is size 500. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. This is a size 500 reel. If it was a 1000 model, it would have the same body as the 2000 size reel. So they couldn't make a 1000 size body reel weigh so much less. These two reels have 20 grams difference. And that's impossible to achieve with better technology or remove mag seal or tinker with the bearings. You cannot do that. You gotta do the reel smaller. Let me show you some weights, and I will get back to the reels. But let me show you some weights, because these weights are, cheating or not, these weights are pretty impressive, man. Get back to zero. So let's start with the LT, which is just the old exist in size 1000 with bearings that have oil instead of tractor grease and some other modifications of the mag seal. 149, sometimes it hits 150 grams. Okay, right now it's insisting on 149 with line, and I must say the line is not really all the way to the top. It's almost to the top. There's like a half a millimeter left on the spool. So with full spool with of line, this reel will weigh 150 grams. This model, LT 2000 SP, 150 grams. Now the 500 size, and I'm already naming it 500 size. You can name it SF. No, this is a 500 size reel. This reel is just smaller. The 500 size model with line weighs 132 grams. By the way, coincidentally, exactly the same weight as the Cast King Kestrel. Boy, did I get some flack for trying to say something positive about Cast King. How dare you say something positive about Cast King? Well, here is DAIWA Exist, the pinnacle of Japanese spinning reel technology. The 500 size reel weighs exactly the same as the 500 size Cast King Kestrel. Cast King is playing the same game. They say the reel is 1000 size, but it's really 500. But it is apples to apples. Think about that. Now this reel feels 100 times better than the Cast King. I said that in all of my videos. But still, 500 size exist. And 500 size Cast King, both reels weigh 132 grams. If this doesn't impress you, you are too tough of a customer for me. So incredible weight. Let's just dump the Vanquish here for a second, just for good scholarly measure. 142 grams. So exactly 10 grams more than the, let me get this shiny reflective thing out of here. So the Vanquish is exactly 10 grams more than the Exist SF. But can you really say that the new Exist SF or the new platform or whatever you want to call it is lighter than the Vanquish? I think we just found out that the answer is no. Because you're comparing a 500 size reel with a 1000 size reel. And if both of them were 1000 size body, the Vanquish would be lighter. So let's remember that. If both of these reels are in 1000 size body, the Vanquish will be lighter. Don't tell me it's 130 grams, because the Vanquish is sharing the same size body as the 2000 size model. Only the rotor is a little bit different, and the spool is a little bit different. By the way, talking about the spools of the two reels, look at how much taller the spool of the Vanquish is. Look how much taller it is. It can't even, to my eyes, it's a huge difference. On camera, it doesn't, for some reason, appear huge. But it's almost like 50% taller. And these spools are metal. So if the Vanquish had the same tiny spool as the Exist SF, it would be another 2 or 3 grams lighter than the Exist SF. So, okay, let's remove the Vanquish for a second, but I consider the issue of the weight buttoned down and answered conclusively. The Vanquish is still the lightest reel on the market. And these gimmicks with the SF and the weights on the boxes are just your usual DAIWA trickery. Exist SF is simply a 500 size Airity SF, and as an Exist SF, SF it just stands for size 500. Now notice that everything is smaller, but there is probably some new geometry in the reel, because the spool is smaller, but the spool is also shorter. The spool doesn't travel up and down as far as the 1000 size body. I really should talk only about the size body, not the size spool. The spool here is size 2000, but the body is size 1000. And if the spool doesn't travel that much up and down, then the line lay locomotive mechanism inside will require different geometry. What else to tell you? The important question for me here is the drag. Just like the other reel, I told you the drags on these Airities are not as vibrant and clicky as I prefer the drag of the Vanquish, and I even prefer the drag sound, not performance. I prefer the drag sound of the Cast King Kestrel. It's a little bit louder and snappier and more vibrant. Ping, ping, said the Kestrel. And by the way, I opened this reel. I put these reels don't have a bearing under the spool, by the way. And I do have this bearing available now in my shop. I didn't put it yet available, but I do have this bearing. So if you watch this video a week from now, if you want to put a bearing under the spool of all of these Airities, you can buy it from my shop. I will get the stainless steel version, I'll get the hybrid ceramic version. I'll give you guys some options for that. But I was saying that I opened this spool, I put a bearing here, and I wanted to clean the grease with a Q-tip to make the drag more vibrant. To my surprise, the spool was completely dry on the inside. And it still doesn't sound, it just sounds like a spool full of grease, right? It sounds like a spool full of grease, but there is no grease. The drag sound, a little bit lacking. You can open the spring just 1 or 2 millimeters, which I did on this reel. Let's see if you can tell the difference. This one has a bearing, and I tuned the spring of the clicker just like 2 millimeters wider. Can you tell the difference? I think it should have come out of the factory with what I'm showing you now. I mean, this is just more pleasant to human ear. Come on. Now, there is a question here that is, to me, even more important than the fact that this is a 500 size model of the same reel, and that is there any different oil or grease inside or mag seal to make the SF with even lower resistance? And I already played with the two reels for some, I don't know, a couple of hours before this video. And the first thing I have to tell you is the two reels have different length handles. This one has, I believe, 35 millimeter handle, the same as in the Vanquish. And this one has at least 40. At least 40, maybe even 45, but at least 40. So the handles are different. And when you have a longer handle, this is just direct Newton's law of leverage. If you have like 10% longer handle, your resistance that you experience at the knob will be 10% less, just direct one-to-one. But with that said, with the longer handle, I cannot tell a difference in resistance or startup inertia of these two reels. I'm not saying that they're the same, but if there is a difference, it is too small for me to detect. I don't know if I'm getting old, because I heard some comments about this and that. And I'll tell you right now, with these handles, I cannot tell a difference between these two reels. They both feel super low resistance, super low startup inertia, and resistance and startup inertia, different things. I plan on doing a video about that to explain you and give you some examples of, where they can be actually pretty different. They don't have to be both low or both high. And nobody will ever complain as long as from now on DAIWA has this level of resistance and startup inertia in the reels. Nobody will ever complain about resistance. If I don't complain, I can twitch with this reel. Not just twitch, but I can twitch with a smile on my face with this reel. DAIWA, you can print this on your front page. iFish can twitch with this reel with a smile on his face. That said, I said it in the previous video and I will say it now, the Vanquish is still a little bit lower resistance, a little bit lower startup inertia. The Vanquish is, folks, still the king of the hill. DAIWA tried some trickery here. They got rid of the mag seal and the tractor grease bearings. They created this 500 size model. They tried, but it appears that with the same kind of design and with the same technology, tinkering is not enough to defeat the almighty Vanquish. Tinkering is not gonna cut it. To defeat the Vanquish, DAIWA will need a new design. Because I told you, the performance is better and the weight is also better. If you compare apples to apples, these extra 10 grams, yeah, but this is a much bigger reel, much bigger body. Look at the body. So Vanquish still the king of the hill. However, is this 500 size model here in my hand a waste of time and effort? Absolutely not. Give me a second, drink some water. I'm losing my voice here. I actually really like this 500 size reel because for me, this size reel is perfect for ultralight power rods. But if you go down to whatever is extra ultralight or super ultralight, let's call it super ultralight, This is obviously a more fitting reel. Like if you have the Eradicator, this is a better fitting reel. If you have any of these Presso Air AGS reels that weigh 42 grams, color notwithstanding, the size of the reel is much better fitting these 42-gram rods. All of a sudden, we have a 170-gram combo. So this size, I am very happy to see it. And let me ask something from DAIWA if this video ends up reaching DAIWA. This model here is absolutely amazing for creating the 2024 Presso Limited. Just don't release something ugly like the previous Presso. Whoever designed that reel was ugly. Let's paint the reel properly with proper, black color paint. No chrome anywhere, please. No chrome here, no chrome here. Proper black color, proper copper Presso accents. Open the spring of the clicker a little bit more to make it go ping ping. Completely get rid of any kind of grease or mag seal or oil. I don't need no oil. I don't need no mag seal. Let's make the resistance even lower so it actually competes with the Vanquish. And this can be, with just these little changes that I just mentioned, an amazing 2024 Presso Limited. And we can get the Presso Limited, we can put it on the 42-gram Presso Air AGS extra ultralight rod, 5'10", and we can fish with 170-gram rig that will look perfect. I mean, you gotta do this. You gotta do this, DAIWA. If you do this, you will make up for all of your bad decisions in the last 5 years. But as it is right now, excellent reel for everybody who bought it. But it still ain't a Vanquish. But if you want a 500 size, high-end reel, Vanquish, I guess, doesn't have a 500 size, so it might be worth going for this. So I'm gonna end this video here. This is still preliminary, thoughts. Tomorrow, I'm gonna put both of these reels on my Eradicators. So I'm gonna fish them back to back on identical rods. So look out for the next video with these two reels when I'll be fishing them on the water. I'll give you some more impressions then. And then I'll do one final on the table video with kind of a recommendation. But as always, thank you for your patience with my slow delivery. Thank you for everybody who watched to the end, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.